Okay, great. Awesome. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining us for today's Social Justice Leadership Series on race, cultural, and social justice. My name is Nayeli Lopez, she, her, hers. I serve as the Assistant Director for the Office of Student Orientation, Leadership, and Engagement here at TMU. So thank you so much for joining us today. A couple of things as we go in today's workshop. Learning outcomes. So participants will participate in intergroup dialogue about race, culture, and social justice. So today's session, we're going to encourage everybody to really, dig into conversation today. We're also going to be doing a lot of reflection. So participants will reflect on and discuss with one another to generate meaning, work together to explore controversial questions, and critically examine race, culture, and social justice-based relations and the issues that divide them. So in other words, we're going to be doing a lot of reflection today, a lot of dialogue, a lot of digging into ourselves, right? Into what we believe in. Participants will gain a knowledge on how they can focus on social justice as a TMU community leader. So what can you do, right, as a TMU community leader? So these are some of the learning outcomes that we hope to target today. Awesome. So Social Justice Leadership Series, I do see a lot of similar names in today's workshop, but if this is your first time attending one of our Social Justice Leadership Series events, welcome. Our programs are always fun and very educational. So a little bit about the program, some of the values that we have is service, respect. So we ultimately want to respect each other's opinions and thoughts as we explore lots of different ideas. Definitely growth. We want to see everybody grow. Power, privilege, oppression, identities. So the reason why we need to have a social justice leadership series program here at TMU is because we recognize nationally that institutions have had a rise of reports of discrimination. There's been a lot of student protests where they feel their voices are not being heard. Institutions face social justice issues and inequities. And so in order for our institution, right, in order for TMU to continue to live up to its mission, we must continue to provide resources and support to our students, faculty, staff, and administrators. We must critically have a critical eye on where our institution stands and how we can effectively provide educational opportunities for all. So this is an opportunity for you all to engage in conversation today, to really learn and grow from. And again, these are our values here in the PowerPoint slide. And just a friendly reminder, every month we have about 2 programs. We focus on Cultural Heritage Month events, and we also focus on dialogue about power, privilege, oppression, and identities. And so again, these programs provide a space. It's very important for us to provide a space and resources for a diverse group of students, faculty, and staff on campus. We are always seeking collaboration. So we're always looking for student groups, professors, faculty, employees to collaborate with us. We need to come together as a community to effectively facilitate dialogues on social justice. So that's a little bit about our program. If this is your first time attending today's Social Justice Leadership Series. Something new as well, again, the program started in the fall semester. And so in order to become a Social Justice Leadership Ambassador, which will happen next fall, 2021, you must attend 6 out of the 12 programs this academic year. And actually, we already have, I think it's 8 ambassadors already, not ambassadors yet, but 8 students who have completed their requirements. And so next fall, they would potentially be an ambassador. And so some of the benefits is you'll be recognized at the Emerging Leader Celebration. For next year, you'll be receiving a medal as well. So if you're passionate about social justice, or you want to learn more about it, you want to continue having these conversations, we are always looking for social justice leadership ambassadors. And so next we have here some definitions, some terms that we always like to go through in today's session. Oh, I think there's a chat. Oh, thank you. Somebody put something in the chat. Thank you, Arturo. So every session, we always talk about power, privilege, oppression, right? And social justice. And so here we have a definition. In today's session, as we talk about social justice, I want you to think about this definition, right? Here we have it defined in our sole office as the inclusion of everyone in the full benefits of society and the empowerment of people to participate fully in the economic, social, and cultural life of the country, right? So the key word here is empowerment. We really want to empower people to participate fully. Another term here that we'll be using throughout all of our programs is power. And so we are focusing on institutional power, the ability or official authority to decide what is best for others, the ability to decide who will have access, the key word is access to resources, right? The capacity to exercise control over others. Privilege. Privilege can be defined in very several ways, and that can look very differently in different situations. Here we define it as unearned access to resources only readily available to some people as a result of their advantaged social group membership. And lastly, here we have oppression. Oppression here would define it as system that maintains advantage and disadvantage based on social group membership and operates intentionally and unintentionally on individual, institutional, and cultural levels. And so today's presentation, I want you to think about social justice, power, and oppression, and how that may relate to race, culture, and social justice. So we're going to go ahead and start. Hopefully everybody is on a laptop. If not, you're going to have to pick your browser on your cell phone. So what does race mean to you? So I'm going to go ahead and share you this virtual. We're going to do this really cool. It's like this new activity here. It's a virtual sticky note. I'm going to put in the chat the link that you will go to. So click on this link, everybody. It's our first activity for today. Once you click on that link, it's going to ask you to sign in. You'll sign in as a guest. Don't worry, it's free. So click on sign in as a guest. And that's the password of the website. I put it in the chat. Hopefully everybody has access to the chat. If you're on your laptop or you're on your phone, good. I see people signing in. Great. So if you click on that website, it's a virtual sticky note. So I'm super excited for this. Click on the website and go ahead and copy and paste that password. You're going to sign in as a guest. Thank you, Arturo. I see lots of people signing in. Great. Great. And so now you're going to take a sticky note, and let me show you on my screen so you know what I'm doing. Awesome. I see people logging in. So once you're here, it says, what does race mean to you? You're going to go up on the right side. It says sticky note, right? Besides the word comment, you're going to click on sticky note. You can choose whichever color you like. You can click anywhere, and you're going to respond to what does race mean to you? It can be a word. It can be a sentence. I want you to explore, what does race mean to you? So go ahead and do that. Thank you, Alicia. It's right here. You're going to click on sticky note. And you're going to type it. Again, sticky note, and you can start typing. Somebody put shared qualities. Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for participating. Somebody put social group. Yep, you can click anywhere you like. You click and put a sticky note. Again, the sticky note is up here next to the comment section. Diverse cultures, a form of identification. Thank you, everybody. Happy you ever done virtual sticky notes? I think it's really cool. Humanity, great, thank you. Somebody put a group of people with that share the same social qualities. Thank you. Somebody put background. Thank you. We're going to give everybody just one more minute. Somebody put having shared characteristics and background. Awesome. So as folks are filling that in, you can take a look and see everybody else's responses there. So again, what does race mean to you? It's a way for you to explore, what does it mean to you, right? Somebody put social group, diverse cultures, respecting cultural origins. Very good. Social groups with shared characteristics and qualities, background, self-identification. Great. So there's lots of different thoughts here, right, on what race means to people. So I think this is important, very important. So just go ahead and throw in today's session. We're going to come back to our sticky notes in a little bit, but just keep that in mind, okay, as we dig in today's session. Awesome. Great. So now here we're going to go ahead and define race here for everybody. Race, the definitions and manifestations of race are social constructions, right? Social constructs based on an individual's racial and ethnic heritage and reflecting a wide domination of other racial and ethnic group, right? Race is constantly used in politics, education, everyday interactions, right? The way we interact with folks, race is constantly being used. Here we have, it is a determining factor in how people view the world, how they are treated, and the opportunities in which they are or are not exposed to, right? So here we have some definitions from Evans on how they think about race, on how they define race, right? So our next conversation here, we're going to open it up to a dialogue, is I want to ask everybody, why is TAMU important to you? And how has race affected your experience at TAMU? So kind of think about it. And right now we're just going to jump around and we're going to unmute ourselves and we're going to put in the chat, why is TAMU important to you? And how has race affected your experience at TAMU? So who would like to go first? Why is TAMU important to you and how has race affected? Thank you. Somebody put in the chat. Thank you. Here we have Arturo puts, because there is so much acceptance, especially given the fact that we are an international university. Yes, Arturo, very good point there. You know, we are an international university. So just like Arturo mentioned, you know, we do have an international population, and not just students, but also professors, right? You interact with professors and employees who are international. So they have different backgrounds, right? Different races as well. Thank you, Arturo. Who else? I'm sure you can find lots of reasons why TAMU is important to you, right? So who would like to share, why is TAMU important to you? Thank you, Isabella. Isabella in the chat puts, TAMU has embraced my Hispanic culture. Yes, Isabella, I think, Isabella Lee, you make a good point because TAMU is actually a Hispanic serving institution. So what does that mean? TAMU has a certain percentage of students that identify as Hispanic, Latinx, right? And so actually, if you didn't know, TAMU is the #1 university in the United States with the highest percentage of Hispanic, Latinx students. There's a university in Florida that has more students because they're a bigger institution, but we have actually the higher percentage. So yes, TAMU has embraced it. Brandy on the chat put, TAMU is important to me because it has encouraged different races from all around the world to attend and give us all students a feeling of welcome. Yes, thank you, Brandy. So yes, definitely. It says it in our name, right? Texas A&M International University. So we are actively always trying to get as many students to come to campus, I know with COVID, it's been a little difficult recently, but we're always, encouraging folks to attend, right? And gives us all students a feeling of welcome. Very good, Brandy. Thank you so much. Alicia on the chat put, TAMU shares personal common values and including the diverse international programs. Yes, Alicia, we have lots of programs at TMU that you can be part of. And so definitely, we have these common values, right? And so maybe some of the common values also align with you, Alicia. And Nancy, put here, TMU has an atmosphere that is very welcoming to everybody. Good, yes, so very good. So I'm glad that, race, so far, everybody has had a very positive experience at TMU. I also want you to think about, right, as we talk about power, privilege, and oppression, I want you to think about predominantly white institutions, right? So there are some universities outside of Laredo, right, that are predominantly white or identify as other. There's not a lot of maybe Hispanic or Latinx students there. And so maybe their experience is definitely different, right? Also with our African-American individuals attending a predominantly white institution, it's a very, very, very different. When I went to graduate school up in Boston and Salem State University, I was the only woman of color in my classroom. I was the only Mexican American. I was in a predominantly white classroom with white professors. And so it's Salem State. And so it's very different. And I'm so glad to be working here at an institution where people come from the same values, maybe same backgrounds, maybe the same racial backgrounds, right? And so it's very different. I want you to think about, power, privilege, and oppression when it comes to our other folks, right? Our African-American and Blacks, students of color who attend predominantly white institutions. They, again, may face discrimination or other isms, microaggressions. I know I did when I was up in graduate school in a predominantly white institution, right? So that's something to really reflect on. And I'm so glad everybody has had so far a positive experience at TMU. Oh, let me look at the chat here. We have Brandy put, we have a lot of international students and it is very fun as well interacting with different individuals that are different race and ours. Yes, Brandy, so you're able to interact with other students, other professors. Great. Awesome. Karina on the chat put, TAMI has provided encouragement for us students to engage in community service. Yes, Karina, in my experience volunteering, I've been able to work with people of many backgrounds. Good, Karina, so I'm so glad, community service has exposed you to that. You've had that opportunity for that. All righty, so we're gonna go ahead and move on to our next conversation here. I'm loving all the chats and all the input from everybody. Thank you so much. So we're going to go ahead and go back to our sticky note. Yes, we're going to go ahead and go back to our sticky note. And you're going to go ahead and put now, what does cultural mean to you? So you're going to go back to the sticky note. You can go back to the sticky note. And if you don't have the link, it's in the chat. There you go. Remember, the sticky note is up on the right. Let me put the sticky note again in the chat if you don't know what I'm talking about. There you go. It is in the chat if you have no idea what I'm talking about regarding a sticky note. You're going to go to the link, sign in as a guest, and that's the password. So just leave it open for today's session. You're going to grab a sticky note. Once you're there, it's in the top next to comment. And you're going to answer, what does culture mean to you? You can put one word, two words, a phrase, a quote. What does it mean to you? Cultura, culture. Here you can see all the virtual sticky notes. So again, click on your sticky note. There's lots of colors here and just start typing away. Awesome. Okay, here, cultural. What does culture mean to you? Somebody put our values, beliefs, and religion. Thank you. Culture is a way to connect with others. It is a way of being. Various backgrounds. Somebody put various backgrounds. Somebody else put culture is a sum of attitudes, beliefs that distinguishes attitudes, customs, and beliefs that distinguishes one group of people from another. Ooh, I like that one a lot. Our way of being, shared values and beliefs, various backgrounds. We're gonna give everybody 1 more minute as they explore. I know probably a lot of you have never visited this website before. But if you're ever having a presentation or anything with your other student members, or even in a class, you can always interact with them with a virtual sticky note. Connection and family, familia, yes. Alrighty. So I'm so glad to see everybody interacting what culture means to you. Here we define it as culture encompasses the social behavior and norms found in human societies, as well as the knowledge, the beliefs, arts, laws, customs, capabilities, achievements, habits of a particular nation, people, individual, or their social group, right? So I think, you all got that very correct. So it's lots of identities, beliefs, arts, cultural, cultura. So now we're gonna open it up to conversation. So how does cultural influence you, right? And so let's open it up to conversation. I want to hear from people. How does cultural influence you? Cultura. How does culture influence you? As you reflect on that, what are some thoughts that come to your head? Somebody, thank you. Thank you. People put in the chat. Thank you, Arturo. Arturo put, it influences me to expand my knowledge in the way others live. Yes, Arturo, so you want to expand your knowledge, you want to learn about others, right? Other individuals and how they live. Estefania put, it has an impact on your beliefs. So it definitely has an impact on your beliefs. Thank you. What else? As you think about culture and cultura, how does culture influence you, right? How does it influence you? Nathan put here, culture can influence how you see another group of people for the better. Yes, yes. So definitely, tying it to what Arturo was saying, right? Knowledge, learning. Joseph put celebration of different customs. Yes. And so thank you, Joseph. Here in the picture, if you can see this, does anybody know what this is? Here in the background, this picture. So this is part of the Mexican culture, right? Is Danza de los Viejitos. It's a big component of Mexican folk, right? Mexican folk dance and music. And so people from Michoacan get together and they dance and they're embracing their ancestors and their heritage and their familia. So there's lots of cultures. On the chat here, I have Joel, who put my multicultural, very good, Joel, upbringing has helped me be more accepting of others' backgrounds and helps provide new perspective. Yes, so definitely, we want to continue to be inclusive. We want to continue to, understand or get to learn more about difference, right? Nancy in the chat put, it's an opportunity to gather knowledge within other cultures. Yes, so Nancy, you are able to learn from different cultures. Julia put here, culture has allowed me to grow as a human. It's expanded the way I see the world and my role within it. Yes, thank you so much. And Julia or anybody, has anybody gone study abroad? I know with COVID it's different, but prior to COVID, has anybody gone to study abroad? If you have, hopefully culture has influenced you, right? If you've gone to a different country, you've seen the customs, the traditions from people, right? You've interacted with other people. So that's something else to think about. Brandy in the chat put, culture influences me and learning from other cultures other than my culture. Learning and trying to travel to better learn from other cultures. Yes, Brandy, I think traveling, I've gone to Japan and Tokyo and Guam and the island, and people, they're very, very nice. And I've learned so much about culture with traveling. Brandy also put, there are a lot of cultures in the world, and exploring them is something that my culture influences me to do. Good. Good, Brandy. So I'm so good to hear that you're open to learning. Eric Barrientos put, it shapes someone's understanding of the society around them and can influence their view of the world. Very good. Thank you. So thank you so much, everybody, for participating on how does culture influence you. Great. Here, we're going to go ahead and go back to our sticky note here. And I want you to think about now, what does social justice mean to you, right? So we talked about, let me go back to the sticky note. We talked about a little bit about race. We talked a little bit about cultural, right? So what does social justice mean to you? If you go back to the sticky note, and you're going to go ahead and stick a virtual sticky note. So what does social justice mean to you? It can be a word, it can be a phrase, it can be a sentence, right? I know we're defining lots of terms here, but what does social justice mean to you? Here's somebody put inclusion of everyone. Thank you. Somebody here put, I think it's Karina or Paula. No, I think it's Karina put the distribution of opportunities and privileges. Thank you. On an orange sticky note, somebody put bringing awareness and positive change. Yes, we definitely want to bring awareness, right? Positive change. Being part of Social Justice Leadership Series, you're already taking the step. You're taking the first step, right? You're learning, right? You're having these conversations, these thoughts. What else? Remember to use a sticky note. You go up here on the top next to the comment. You choose any color you like and you stick it there on this virtual sticky note. Equality for everyone. Thank you, Isabella. We're going to go ahead and give everybody a minute. What does social justice mean to you? And here I can share with everybody if you're not able to log in. Here it is. Sticky notes. Everybody's putting sticky notes. Oh, here somebody put distribution of wealth opportunities. Ah, interesting. The distribution of opportunities and privileges. Here in this black sticky note, somebody put equal opportunities to all, no matter the skin color, religion, gender, and sexual preference. Thank you. Appreciate how you mentioned, to all, right? We want to empower everybody. Bringing awareness and positive change. Thank you so much, everybody. So I see lots of sticky notes here and people are interacting. Equal rights to all. Thank you, Nancy. Great. So everybody, everyone's definitions and the way you define it is great. Awesome here. Good. So you've seen this slide before, social justice, and we went over it in the beginning, right? So again, how we define social justice, inclusion of everyone, the full benefit society, empowerment. We want to empower people to participate fully in the economic, social, and cultural life of the country. Very good, everybody. And so now a question that I want you to think about is, what social justice initiatives have you been part of? Right. So I want you to reflect. If you're a senior, right? If you're Joelle and you're graduating in a couple of weeks, what social justice initiative have you been part of? So think about your first year freshman, or if you're a graduate student, or if you're a professor, TAMU member, what initiatives have you been part of? Whether it's in TAMU, whether it's in your hometown, what have you been part of? Here, This drawing in the back is actually by one of our students, Oksana Cardenas, who participated in the Art for Social Change competition that occurred on Friday. And so they drew this. It was a social justice competition regarding any type of artwork. So that's why you see this background here. So as you brainstorm, what social justice initiatives have you been part of? What have you taken part of? And let's open it up to discussion here as I see people here. So as you think about it, what have you been part of? Have you done anything within your student groups, right? I see a lot of your student leaders. So have you had a program, an event where you're focusing on social justice? Alicia on the chat put, participating in TEMU's voter registration and helping individuals sign up to be ready to vote. Yes, Alicia, very good. Thank you for doing that. Yeah, you know, you've been participating, signing up people to vote, right? So if some of you are in the chat and you're like, I don't know if I've participated or I've done anything, you know, these are some ideas that you can start thinking about, right? And again, in order for us to continue to be inclusive and to diversify our university. Brandy here put, oh, I have engaged in the Social Justice Leadership Series and participated in the Art for Social Change competition. Yes, Brandy, you have, right? And so the Social Justice Leadership Series that we've had for the past year, we've had a variety of topics, and today we're kind of tied in together, right? And so you've been able to participate in that. Brandy, what was your specific topic for the Art for Social Change competition? What did you draw or create? Like what topic within social justice? Black Lives Matter. Okay, thank you, Brandy. Yeah, well, actually, Brandy, we did have it was about 4 or 5 different students who there was a Black Lives Matter poem. There was like 2 drawings. I think there was 1 painting. There's quite a few that they focused on that topic. So thank you, Brandy, for sharing that. What else? Everybody who's here, what social justice initiatives have you been part of? So think about your student orgs. Have you done events or programming? I know we just had Pride Week recently as well. And by we, I mean Can and the university. What else, as you think about, what initiatives have you been part of? Anyone else before we move on? Next question here is, what can I do as a TEMU community member? So if you're reflecting, you're like, oh, maybe I haven't done much, right? Maybe I've attended events, but I haven't done much to move forward or to do something within social justice, right? So at TMU, we do have change-making projects. That's a big thing that I would encourage you all to do. So you would address an issue. So for example, right, think about an issue or something that you would like to target. For example, maybe you want to focus more on LGBTQ, right? You want to help address maybe some of the issues or concerns of our LGBTQ plus TMU students and community, right? You can definitely create a change-making project, you address an issue, you can work with other student organizations, you can collaborate, right? So you can create an actual project, do some research and do something, right? So for example, at many institutions, we have gender-neutral restrooms. Why do we have gender-neutral restrooms at TMU, right? There's a lot of institutions that have centers specifically for African American, the Black student unions, right? And so I know our population is different, right? Our student population, but think about how we can strive to be more inclusive. So what else can you do as a TMU community member? Go ahead and put in the chat all the student orgs that you're part of. What organizations are you part of? I know lots of you are part of several organizations on campus, so Which student groups are you part of? Thank you, Abby. Philanthropy Council. Oh, that's a great, Abby. So Student Philanthropy Council, think about, Abby, how maybe you can do something with the Student Philanthropy Council, right? Do some initiatives regarding social justice work. Student Delta Lambda, Sigma Delta Lambda, I'm sorry. Estefania, you're part of lots of different organizations. Katie Kai, SPC, Student Nurses Association, great. So I see lots of you are like super involved. Trailblazers for Life, Trailblazers, Just Devils for Life, I'm sorry, Trailblazers Team, SGA. Oh, thank you, Nathan, for being super honest. Nathan put, I've actually been trying to become more involved on campus now, so I'm part of the camp that hasn't done much yet. And it's okay, Nathan, right? You can, that's definitely fine. Thank you for being honest about it, right? And so you can definitely, there's lots of student organizations that you can join, but I see lots of you here. Oh my gosh, Brandy's like part of like 10 groups here. Oh, okay, Brandy. Okay, Nana, of course, Nana, we know Nana's part of SOG, CAM, SGA, CAB, OLs. Oh, thank you, Eric. Yes, you're part of the bridge, OD5. So lots of you are involved, right? So I want you to think about, what can I do as a TAMU community member, as a student leader, right? What can I do to help, create positive change, to target social justice, right? So I want you to think about within your student organization, do you have a mission, right? In your mission, are you being inclusive, right? So for example, right, our Greek life, our fraternities and sororities, how can we be more inclusive with our LGBTQIA plus community, right? Also, maybe if you're part of the League of Empowered Women, right? How can we be more inclusive for all genders, right? And that goes for everybody as we are thinking about our student organizations, reflect on your student organization and actually on your student constitution. And that's something that I've been doing recently, actually on my syllabus, because I don't know if you know, but I also teach dance here at TAMU. On my syllabus, I actually edited for next semester, because I usually have like the male attire and the female attire, and I put non-binary gender fluid, right? And so that way, I'm providing more opportunities for students, to choose whatever they feel most comfortable wearing, whichever attire they feel most comfortable in, right? And so think about how maybe your constitution, right? How can you be more inclusive? What can you do, right? So for example, like I mentioned before, social change making projects are a big thing here. I know Nana is part of the Tide community. And so where, she attends these meetings, and you can be part of that as well. You can contact Nana. It's a diversity committee here on campus. It's with TAMU faculty and employees. So Nathan, if you're looking for something, maybe for the fall semester, Nathan, they do have a Tide community. And so you can attend events. You can hear what's going on in the institution regarding a variety of diversity events. You can also express maybe a concern that you have. Maybe you can talk to them and see what you can do. So there's definitely a lot of things to explore here. So anybody else has anything as you think about your student organization? What can you do as a TAMU community member, as student leader? I know DXN has been very involved. I don't know if you've seen him on social media, but DXN has been very involved with a variety of diverse topics. Annabelle in the chat put here, hit me up if you want to be part of the Students Perspectives for Tide. Yes, Nana, definitely. So definitely if you want to be part of that perspective, Tide community, I'm sure they are more than welcome to hear your concerns or your ideas, or to collaborate with them. All the student orgs that you just mentioned here, you can collaborate with other individuals on campus to create social justice efforts. So again, thinking about the LGBTQIA plus community on campus, thinking about, as many of you, not all of you, but maybe a lot of you may identify as Hispanic, Latinx, multicultural, different, however you may identify, or also within your race, how may you identify, right? I know when you check off, like there's like this little box, the census, and it checks off like different races, usually like white, and it's like black, and it has like all these different ones. It's also, I always find it very interesting on how to check that off, right? So something to think about. Tide, Brandy, yes. Nana, do you want to talk a little bit about Tide? I don't know if she has a mic. I don't think Nana has a mic, but you can type it, Nana. Tell them a little bit about Tide. That way other students can learn more about that. But yes, again, as we think about your student groups and what you can do as a TAMU student leader, you can do a lot of things. You know, you can rate, like I mentioned, create social change making projects, collaborate with other student groups. I am challenging every single one of you here that if you're part of a student organization, think about how am I being inclusive of the LGBTQIA plus community, right? How am I being inclusive of other races? How am I being inclusive of African-American students, right? Of our Black students, right? Our Black employees, right? Our people of color. So think about that. And I'm going to challenge all of you here to go back into your constitutions. The renewal is coming up, by the way, to re-register your student org. But go back to your constitutions and look at it. Some constitutions are like 10 years old or more. So go back to your constitutions and think, hey, how are we really being inclusive? You know, what are we doing? And how, and think about privilege as well. You know, are we leaving anybody out, right? So think about that. Our programming as well, are we just targeting all of our programs to Latinx and Hispanic students? You know, as a student org, as a student group, are we just doing that, right? And so think about, you know, also our white Caucasian students, right? Our students who identify as white on campus, right? Within their race. Think about how are we serving their needs as well, right? Within our student group. So just something to think about. Another question that I have here is how can we be inclusive on campus? So what can you do? What can we do? How can we be inclusive on campus? I want to hear from folks. How can we be inclusive on campus? There's lots of things that every university can always improve on. So what can we do to improve? In the beginning, y'all talked about international students, right? We're getting this international population. So how can we continue to be inclusive with them? And think about other people's experiences, again, outside of TAMU at predominantly white institutions or historically Black colleges and universities. You know, they experience things very differently, right? And so privilege takes a role in that, right? So higher education was actually built, universities, if you didn't know, universities, starting with Harvard, was actually built for white privileged men, right? And so universities have come a long way from that. But thinking about our history of higher education, right, on universities, institutions were not made for people like me, right? And so think about that. How can we be inclusive, right? Let's hear. In the chat was, Bridget put share information about events to everyone. Okay, good. And Bridget, maybe these events, you know, we can continue to be inclusive. Thinking about different races and different cultures, right, and backgrounds, you know, think about, you know, events that we want to make sure that we're being inclusive for everybody. Isabella here put create events that make them feel included. Yeah, Isabella, definitely. And so, for example, Arab Heritage Month, right? Arab Heritage Month has been this month of April. We had an event earlier. And so did your organization, like, did you even have a conversation with your student organization or with your class, if you're a professor, with other TAMU employees? Have you had a conversation about Arab Heritage Month, right? Maybe a fun fact or anything regarding that, right? So think about that. Next month in May, we have Asian Pacific Islander Desi American Month, right? So think about, hey, like, have we talked about this? Not even just part of your student group in your class, right? Conversation. So think about that. Nancy put implement diversity trainings. Yes, Nancy, very good. Yes. So within your student group, right, in your constitution, you can definitely add that for next semester, next year. Like, hey, if we want to be more inclusive on campus, let's do a diversity day, right? or let's focus on different topics, right? You can explore that as you wish. But I think the more you talk about it, the more you engage in conversation with other people, the more you're gonna grow and you're gonna learn. Awesome. Anything else? How can we continue to be inclusive on campus? You know, you can advocate as a student leader. You can definitely have your voice be heard, right? If there's a concern or something that maybe you're not able to access, you know, you can definitely voice your concerns. Yes, Julian. Yes, yes, write letters. Yes, I encourage you all, write letters, participate. You know, if your voice isn't being heard, you feel you're not being included, right? Whether it's your race or it's your cultural, you know, definitely address your concerns. Yes. Anything else? How can we continue to be inclusive on campus? So I saw lots of you are an amazing student orgs here. And lots of you will be recognized on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday for our awards. Yes. And so I want you, or some of you are graduating, right? I know like Joel's graduating. Lots of you are going to be graduating soon, whether this semester or next semester. And, you know, when you leave TAMU, what have you done? You know, what social justice efforts have you done? Participating in social justice leadership series? Yes, great. Art for Social Change Project? Great. What else, right? Think about that. You know, have an event with your student organization or by yourself. You want to get together, do a change-making project, 3 to 5 people, target a topic, right? And do that. You know, is continuing to be more inclusive of our university here. So anything else before we start wrapping up in today's session? Yes, Julian put protests here. Thank you. And actually, Julian brings up a great point because at other universities, when I was up in Boston, like we did protests. We were out there. I was out there, like with my sons, and we advocated for more faculty of color because I did not have a Mexican American professor. Nobody looked like me when I was in graduate school. So I want you to think about that. You're here at TAMU where a lot of people may have your same race or your same cultural, right? And your same values. And so privilege, right, also takes a role in that. We talked a little bit about earlier about higher education, right? The history of higher education, again, was not made for, was made for white males, right? For the privileged white males. Harvard, yes, 1636, that's why it was created, for white privileged males. And so we want to continue to be inclusive on our campus. At many institutions, they have protests, they write letters, they have events, they have conversations, they have dialogues. And I encourage all of you moving forward to have a conversation with your student group. If you're TAMU Royals, like Nana is and Danny are, have these conversations with other student groups. So we're going to go ahead and start wrapping up here in today's session. We're going to go ahead and do an assessment before we end here today. Again, today was more for like reflection and kind of thinking about, how race, culture, and social justice and what that means to you and how you take a role on that. Here in the chat, oh, by the way, let me put the attendance link as well. Here's your survey. Let's fill out the survey here. Our last social justice series, which is again next month, we're going to be honoring and celebrating, right? We're going to be talking about Asian Pacific Islander Desi American Heritage Month at TAMU. And so this is our last event for social justice leadership series for this academic year. And so we're going to be having a conversation about Asian Pacific Islander discrimination in the United States. So our guest speaker is going to be Dr. Jared DeMello, and they're going to be talking about a variety of case studies. So it's going to be very interesting. I encourage you to attend and learn more about the Asian Pacific Islander Desi American Heritage Month and how that takes a role in that. Oh, thank you. I see something in the chat here. What are the steps in becoming a social justice ambassador? Thank you, Brandy. So the steps are you attend at least half of them, 6 out of the 12 social justice leadership series this academic year. So Brandy wants you, and we have a attendance sheet. So you attend 6 of them. And then after that, there's going to be an application that will open up and you would apply. And so you would become a social justice leadership ambassador. So you, for next fall, you would help and create programs, events, have conversations, engage in dialogue with other students and TAMU community members. So it's definitely going to be an opportunity for you to dig more into social justice. Awesome. Let me go ahead and give you the link for attendance. Thank you, Brandy. Please copy and paste that to your browser. It's this long blue link here. Copy and paste that, please. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, everybody, for joining us today. Make sure to pick up your free wristband. We are located STC 224. Make sure you pick up your Social Justice Leadership Series wristband. Thank you. Go ahead and stay behind if anybody has any questions. Or if you want to check in if maybe you already qualify for an ambassador for next year, you need me to check or anything like that. Thank you. Good luck with finals. Good luck with finals and everything happening. I'll see you at the celebrations this week. I'm glad, Nathan. Nathan, if you ever want to reach out to the Soul Offers, we're here to help you. Nathan, there's this online platform called Trailblazers. Trailblazers, are you familiar with it, Nathan? Trailblazers.tamu.edu. That way you can get more involved with student groups, different offices and programs. I know you were asking about that earlier. So just let us know, Nathan, how we can help serve you. That way, you mentioned that you want to get involved. And so there's lots of opportunities at TAMU to get involved. It's just about, finding what's most interest to you, right, Nathan? So finding out, where your interests lie or where you want to learn or grow more from. And so you can always email us. Yes, I was the one. Yes, I had emailed you. I think I had emailed you. Yeah. So yeah, I was like, I think Nathan, you sound very familiar to me. Yeah. Well, thank you so much, everybody. I'm going to go ahead and stay a couple minutes here in case anybody has any questions. Thank you, you too. So I'm going to stay behind if anybody has any questions. That's the survey. If you haven't done the survey and your attendance. Here. Thank you, Justin. As an org, what can we do to be more involved? Just regarding student orgs or with social justice? Oh, within our community, yes. So thinking about the TAMU community and Laredo community, we do have a big percentage of Latinx, right? Hispanic, Mexican American, undocumented folks here on Laredo, and different races within, right? So some people may identify as Black, white, etc. And so think about how you can be more inclusive and what you can do. So Justin, are you part of any student group or anything on campus? I feel like you are, Justin. I feel like you're part of a student group. I think I've seen your name before. Yeah, okay. Greek Council. Yeah, I've seen your name. Within our community, we encourage students, Justin, to create a change-making project. So for example, let's say you want to address an issue, right? So you want to think about a topic that maybe you're interested in. Maybe you're interested in young Latino men, right? Like the topic, you want to research more, you want to help more of that population, right? So maybe you can create a change-making project, whether by yourself or with the fire organization. Maybe you want to target like, hey, maybe the high school students, how can we, like a mentoring, like maybe you can do some kind of change making project where you have maybe some students from college, whether it's OD5 or anybody else who identify as a male Latino, who maybe came from who's a first generation low income male Latino, right? That's just an example. And maybe you can work with a local university or local high school, sorry. And maybe do a mentoring program, right? Even if it's just like one-time event or like a semester event once a month and mentor them, or just have you can actually reach out maybe to Harmony High School, anybody from our Laredo community, or even maybe a more low-income high school, and say like, hey, our OD5 brothers or our OD5 fraternity or Greek Council would like to have a conversation or like present to like graduating seniors or like to graduating low-income Latino males, right? Because there's a lot of Latinx and Hispanic students who enroll in college that they do not graduate. They drop out for a variety of reasons. So that's financial, family, there's no people that look like them, there's no mentors. And so maybe that's something that you want to target. That's just an idea. That's one way to get involved with community partners. We encourage our students to get involved with community partners. So, targeting a certain issue and finding a community partner to create a change-making project. Justin, yes. Okay, you attended a Black Lives Matter movement, but personally, I would like to help in other ways. Yes, of course, Justin. There's definitely other ways. Maybe thinking about our LGBTQIA plus community in Laredo and at university. I know through Campus Island Network and our LGBTQIA plus students on campus, they have been advocating for some changes. They want to see some changes in the institution. And so maybe Justin, OD5, right, or yourself can connect with Campus Island Network, or it's the SGA, it's called SGA Diversity and Inclusivity Committee. It's SGA. It's the SGA Diversity and Inclusivity Committee. So it's a committee within SGA that is targeting diversity and inclusivity issues. And so you can definitely work with them regarding anything. It doesn't have to be LGBTQIA. Justin, you put, everyone has to do great things. Yes, Justin, I agree with you, finding that right support. And that's, that's one of the reasons why we also have SOUL, we really want to support you all. And so Justin, let's say, I want you to think about, Justin, like a topic that you're really interested in. You don't, maybe, do you have a topic that you're interested in, or maybe you want to take some time to think about it? But I think that's the first step, right? Like, I know you mentioned you attended a Black Lives Matter movement, but you want to help in other ways. Think about our community, our Laredo community, Webb County. Did you grow up in Laredo, Justin, or you attended high school somewhere else? Rio Grande, okay. Rio Grande City, okay. Okay, thank you. And so think about maybe the Rio Grande City during the summer, right? Think about your population there. And so think about what you would like to target, whether it's low income, whether it's people of color, Latinx individuals, Mexican American undocumented, or different races, right? Maybe you want to target white Caucasian individuals and see how you can best support them in a predominantly Latinx community, right? So there's lots of ways you can explore. I think the first step, Justin, for you is to think about an issue. Think about a topic that you may be passionate or just you have an interest in, right? and think about, after you think about your topic, think about what about your topic that you would like to explore and research. That's one way to get involved. I know you asked me that. Another way to get involved, like I mentioned, the SGA Diversity Inclusivity Committee. We do have the TIDE community. With OD5, think about, Justin, how you can create more inclusive programming. Are you an officer, Justin, with OD5, or? Are you curious? Yes, okay, great, Justin. And so think about, I want to challenge you, Justin, for the fall semester. Think about maybe doing more inclusive programming, right? April was also Sexual Assault Awareness Month, right? And actually, Justin, and like almost a month ago, it was all over the news. Unfortunately, with one of our TAMU basketball players, it was sexual assault and etc. And so, you can do some type of programming. You can also work with local community partners, right? In Laredo, we have different resources for LGBTQ individuals. I mean, you can do your digging. Maybe there's resources, and I'm sure there's community partners where you can work with young Latinx or young first generation students. So think about that.
Yeah, I don't know if you can hear me.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, perfect. So in other chapters, and I know OD5 here at TAMU used to do it before, but one thing they were known for was BAD. So BAD, what it is, it's Brothers Against Drunk Driving, and it was something that they were known for, and that's how they kind of helped their community. Also, like we have our philanthropies. So I know we have Special Olympics right now, but with the whole COVID situation, like they kind of got disbanded. So that was one thing that I was just wondering, how else can we help right now? Because like everyone that we've reached out to, we used to donate plates or money to get plates for um Bethany House, I believe. And now with the whole situation, like there's nothing that we can really do. Like they're not accepting food, they're only accepting money. Uh, you know, um, the philanthropy, our main contact, like she's not there anymore. Like all that. So that's why I was like trying to figure out what other things that we can do, to help out our community because that's in our main goals. It's graduate its members and serve our community, but we can't serve our community if everyone's kind of all over the place. I can't hear you.
Sorry, I was on mute. Yes, Justin, I've seen that with some of our change making projects this past semester. It's been a little difficult with COVID, right? Some community partners or some agencies may we have certain strict guidelines, right, due to COVID, and so there is a challenge there. Um, are you specifically wanting to target males, Latino males, or are you open to any kind of topic?
I
Are
mean,
you?
like, it's not really just males because we do have males and females in our community, so we just want to like give back and try to help out with as much as we can sometimes.
Yeah, definitely. So I'm gonna go ahead and send you some agencies here. Have you heard of Casa de Misericordia? Casa de Misericordia is a domestic abuse treatment center in Laredo, where individuals go. These are survivors of domestic violence, and so they're always looking for opportunities. Sometimes they have like people go in and do like an exercise class, like for the people, the individuals are there just to release some stress, right? There's several ways that you may want to connect with them. The Casa de Misericordia. Let me go ahead and give you some other agencies here in Laredo. I mean, if you want to target something specifically, maybe with mental health, I know you mentioned that you want to help your community in any other way that you can. I think you brought up a good point, COVID, right, Justin? So think about mental health and how COVID has impacted mental health. maybe, Justin, you can partner up with a local counseling services or mental health services in Laredo and do a positive mental health day, right? Even if it's virtual, thinking, I know you mentioned COVID has some restrictions there, but maybe doing something virtual, right? Maybe a fitness exercise class. I know something that I think a month ago, I had one group project who reached out to a gym, not to a counseling center. They reached out to a local gym and they had like a suicide awareness, not mental health, but they had a suicide awareness. It was a suicide awareness, that kind of fitness day, and like the gym collaborated with them. They had like a virtual fitness class, and like a lot of people, there was like about 60 people, like actually people participated because they wanted to like focus on like suicide awareness, and so they were working out and whatnot. And then there was a conversation, right? There was that conversation of checking in with people, like, hey, let's talk about like suicide awareness, especially with COVID. And so maybe you can tie it in with suicide awareness or mental health, whichever you feel best fits for you. And I know that folks were sharing stuff on social media, kind of having this awareness. So that's one idea. But if you want to go on a larger like perspective, because I know you talked about Black Lives Matter, and now you're talking about the BAD initiative. Maybe think about an initiative that focuses on Latino or Latinx, right? Latinx, Hispanic individuals. Let's see here. And see how you can help support that. And we can continue to brainstorm together to find something that you would be most interested in. Does that answer your question? Justin, are you there? Oh, okay, sorry. Sign in the chat. Okay, great.
Yeah,
Thank you,
sorry.
Justin.
My friend is playing in the living room, so I don't want to like catch the audio.
No, it's
No,
okay.
I completely agree, and I think that's a good idea. You know, and even as Greek Council, I feel like we can probably, keep it to Greeks only, and then as my chapter, like we can probably keep it to like the community, as like have a day to just stress relief or something, to help uh with mental awareness or mental health awareness and all that. So I agree with that.
Yes, Justin. And also in June, thinking about the summer, right? In June, we do have Pride Week, right? So thinking about our LGBTQIA plus community. And maybe we do have some agencies here in Laredo here. We do have Laredo Pride, and there's another one called here. You can potentially partner up with them. I know that there's going to be a parade, I believe. Justin, I think there's going to be some parade. Let me see. Let me go on social media. What's the other one called? Gateway something. Let me see. You can probably partner up with them and do something if you like. If you like to target LGBTQIA plus in the community. I mean, there's lots of different, topics, and it's just about finding out what's your best, what your interest is in, right? And then finding that community partner that you can work with, especially during COVID times. I think it's very important. Oh, the Gateway Pride? Yes, Gateway City Pride Association. Gateway City Pride. Put it in the chat for you, Justin. So they're celebrating Pride in June. So that may be something that, you may want to, excuse me, think about if that's of interest to you. Alrighty. So you can continue to connect with me, Justin, if you want to continue to further explore different topics or what you can do. It seems like you really want to like do something, but again, I encourage you to find like a topic and then go from there. All right, Justin, hopefully that answers your question. And to everybody else that is here, I don't know if anybody has any other questions or thoughts or follow-ups before I finish the session. Thank you, Justin. Bye, everybody.